So the Texans are 2-1, even after losing 34-7 to the Vikings, makes it feel like they're 2-3 because the Vikings are quarterbacked by Sam Darnold. I know everyone's talking about them as the top team in the National Football League this week. We're talking the greater NFL cognoscenti. How long will they be there? I doubt for long. I think that Sam Darnold is going to come back to earth. I think this Vikings team is going to come back down to earth. They do have some talent, but are we really thinking about the Minnesota Vikings as a Super Bowl contender? No. But we're also not thinking about the Houston Texans as a Super Bowl contender if we are somebody who believes that to prove something in this league, you got to beat good teams. I think the Texans' future looks very promising. I also think they're still a way off, and that the resume of the DeMeco Ryans era to this point is definitely something that you can put some asterisks next to. So the Bengals lose last night. They're 0-3. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, is doing historic things to this Bengals team that keeps on flapping its gums, but has no ability to back up what they're saying. That's the best win of the DeMeco Ryans era. Last year's 30-27 win on the road against the Bengals. Are you looking at that Bengals victory a little bit differently? I get it. It's two different seasons. But at that point, before missing the playoffs, the Bengals were at the very least in the hunt. It was a great win for the Texans. But that's really your best win. Unless the 45-14 playoff victory over the Joe Flacco-led Browns floats your boat. Browns are 1-2 this season. Or last year's 39-37 win over the Baker Mayfield Bucks is the best win. By the way, that's something that happened because CJ Stroud is a magician. I mean, they almost lost that game. There were many games they almost lost last year. This is a team that doesn't cover. If you're a gambling person, they frustrate you. If you're somebody that wants style points, they frustrate you. Those are the three best wins of the DeMeco Ryans era to this point. And yeah, they added a lot of talent this offseason. They added a lot of names this offseason. But Sunday was a reality check. And focusing on last night a little bit more, the Texans are 1-1 against the Trevor Lawrence-led Jaguars. Jacksonville's 0-3. Do they look as bad or worse than Tennessee? Doesn't matter. They beat you the last time you played them. And yeah, there were injuries, blah, blah, blah. But the first game you beat the Jaguars, 0-2 week 3 last year, where CJ Stroud's hitting deep passes to Tank Dell. You block a field goal. You have a weird kick return for a touchdown. That's one of those games where you don't necessarily put an asterisk next to it, but you don't look at that victory as a super impressive one, right? A win is a win in the NFL, Paul. It's hard to win in the NFL. Okay, Bill O'Brien, fine. They're 2-1 against the Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson-led Colts. But it looks like the Colts might have been better last year with Gardner Minshew running the show, at least for now. The Texans lost to Desmond Ridder, Bryce Young, and Zach Wilson last year. And they are 0-2 against the Ravens, having lost those two games 59-19. So just asking the question, especially after last night, you saw the Bengals fall to 0-3. And you saw the Jaguars fall to 0-3. Doesn't this era of Texans football look like it still has a lot to prove? The answer is obviously yes. I don't think there's any other answer. You can only play who you go up against, but they had a very easy schedule last season. And to this point, this year, have the Texans played somebody that you feel like a win against them would be a statement? No, and they're not doing that on Sunday either. They're 6.5-point favorites against the Jaguars on Sunday. We're hoping they cover the spread. Is covering the spread going to make you feel any different? Not really, because it looks like the Jaguars might be about to fire everybody. You had Doug Peterson after last night's game, when asked about possible changes saying this.
I don't necessarily think you go in an opposite direction. You've invested a lot of time, but there has to be changes, whether it's play design, personnel, everything's on the table. Let's call it, right. And those are all things that we have to, I have to look at. We have to look at as a staff and make the adjustments.
We got to look at the staff. We got to make adjustments. Well, what is that adjustment? He wouldn't commit to Trevor Lawrence. When asked about Trevor Lawrence, he went a little bit further, saying, well, there's some guys playing with injuries. Is Trevor Lawrence injured? Is that the excuse that they're going to give here? Because wasn't Trevor Lawrence injured last year? They're 0-8 in his last 8 starts since the 8-3 start last year. But as I said in hour one, you can't poke fun at the Jaguars right now after a 34-7 loss to the Vikings. You can't poke fun at the Bengals right now. It sucks. We thought that we were in high society. Moving on up to the east side, we finally got a piece of the pie. We thought we were there because of splash offseason acquisitions. And we're clearly not. Could the Texans be there by the end of the year? Absolutely. I still feel pretty good about their chances to improve from where they're at now to the end of the year. But I think we got a little bit too chesty this offseason because of all the hype. I'll admit, I got carried away a little bit. I felt like over time I started to say, well, hang on, there's too much. There's too much praise. I can't handle all the positivity. I can't handle all the compliments. So I started to zag a little bit towards the end. But yeah, I was buying into it a little bit, and just about the entire station was. I think half the station predicted the Texans to make it to the AFC Championship game. And right now, we are doing that based off of the belief that they will get better. That's the only way you can right now. Because they look like a upper middle of the pack football team. Not a Super Bowl contender right now. And I know that's going to bother some, blah, 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 blah. You got CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, all that stuff. Teams lose like this all the time and then go on to win Super Bowls. Well, about that, I don't know how many people decided to take a look at the last 10 Super Bowl champions like I did before the show. Because I know yesterday we had, Derek calling in saying, hey, well, one time the Redskins and Cowboys. Oh, what, we're talking like 30 years ago before I was football conscious? Okay, that's fun. I went and checked the last 10 Super Bowl champions for losses of 3 scores or more. There have not been many. Half of the last 10 Super Bowl champions never had a 3-score loss. 4 of those teams only lost by 1 score. The teams that did have 3-score losses, and this one's kind of a 2-score one. The Chiefs lost 24-9 to the Broncos last year on October 29th. The 2021 Rams lost 37-20 to the Arizona Cardinals October 3rd. 31-10 to the San Francisco 49ers November 15th. The 2020 Bucs had 1 loss like that. They lost 38-3 to the Saints November 8th. The 2018 Patriots lost 34-10 to the Titans November 11th. And the 2014 Patriots lost 41-14 to the Kansas City Chiefs September 29th. That's the game where everybody asks Bill Belichick if he was thinking about benching Tom Brady. So half of the last 10 Super Bowl champions never had a 3-score loss. The others had 1. If not 2, that was the Rams back in 2021. So ask yourself this question. Is a blowout loss to a team quarterbacked by Sam Darnold going to be the one Texans blowout loss this year? I don't think anyone can answer that with a straight face, especially with the Buffalo Bills 2 weeks from now having come off that win against the Jaguars. You play the Ravens again. You play the Chiefs. You play the Jets, who look a lot better. You got a lot of tough games on the schedule. So just something to keep in mind. Sorry for the ice bucket challenge to your crotch. The Battle Red Pants tent, it's going away. You might have some deep steel blue balls now.